this episode, we're actually starting a new series whereby it's called Under the Trainer's Harness. And in this series, we'll go through about what we're doing with our dogs currently, because it's very easy for a trainer to always give advice out to everybody, but they themselves are not doing the work. So it's something that we want to showcase to our clients and people who are watching or listening all over the world, that what kind of efforts we put in with our dogs as well. So if this gets good responses, we'll start doing more of it. Fraser couldn't join us today because he's helping out an adoption process actually. So he was working with this dog who's had a couple of bite incidents, and the dog did very well with a lot of the training. It's just that the dog is still quite reactive and is quite high strung, and he's actually helping smooth the adoption process along, make sure the dog gets settled into their new home, and give advice and tips on what the new owner should do, how to read the dog's body language and things like that, how to prepare for the dog's possible triggers. So that's why he couldn't join us today. However, so what I'll be doing for you guys is I'll be talking about what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks, this month at least, and that is moving. So I've been preparing for a move. As you can see, my background is very messy because I've been packing every day, and yeah, so we're preparing to move to another place. And moving with your dogs, of course, if you're moving overseas or things like that, where you have to crate your dog, that's something else you need to add on to this. Whereas I'm just moving within the country, so it's just like half an hour away, so it's not too bad. But it is still a whole new environment for your dogs, and they need to be settled in nicely. The first thing I did was way back, like the end of last month, I sent both of my girls for a vet checkup, just to make sure that they're healthy, make sure I update any sort of information that my vets might need, like a new address, contacts, microchips, and I also requested for them to email me a copy of their medical records, because I might be going to a different vet since I'm in a different part of Singapore. I'll be in a different part of Singapore. Sorry, the stream keeps getting a bit blurred out from time to time. It's not much I can do about that. I need a new camera. Okay, so yeah, so that was the first thing I did. And then after I got the clean bill of health, I got all of their medical records, I move on to the next step, which is all the moving supplies that you're going to have in your house over the next few weeks while you're packing and things like that. They need to be familiarized with. You can't just bring in 20 boxes and then expect your dog to be completely chill about it, especially if you have dogs with past traumas or behavioral issues and things like that. So I started by bringing the boxes when they're not set up. They're flat. I don't know what's the term for that, but then the boxes are all flat, and then I just kept it out of sight in the storeroom, and then I just took out one while it's completely flat. I laid it on the floor, and I let my girls investigate it. So if they started walking, they were a bit wary of it, of course, because they saw this for the first time. So they kind of like, if the box is here, they're here, they kind of like inch closer, and then they just dodge backwards, and they inch closer, dodge backwards. So I can tell that they're not too comfortable with it. So what I did is, of course, with the flat box here, I just toss a couple of treats around it, let them take the treats off while getting closer and closer to the box. I encourage them to step on the box, which Blue did first, and then Ori followed along soon after, and then they could just move around the box. And then I just put up the box while it's still flat. I took it and I just leaned it against a wall, and then I encouraged them to just go underneath it while it's against the wall, like go underneath here and then get treats from there as well. So this one, you got to be really careful, because if your dog knocks the box off the wall, it will slide down and they will get spooked by it. So you have to be very ready to either grab the box or have a lot of treats ready to counteract this sudden increase of stress. So with that, Ori was the one who did it first. She kind of dashed backwards, kind of knocked into the sofa. That's fine. I just continued doing more work. And then eventually, after about like 20 or 30 minutes of doing this exercise with them, I started setting up the boxes. So I built one box, put it down on its side, where it's on its side like that, so it's open on the side, right? This is the ground. It's open on its side, and then I just toss treats inside for them to just slowly go in and take it, go in and take it, and come out. Get them comfortable with all of these boxes. Then afterwards, I would actually encourage them to just go in, and then if they stay inside for like just a second or two, and I recall them out, and then they realize that the boxes are not so scary. Because a lot of people might think like the boxes are just going to be there for a couple of weeks, and then maybe my new place for a couple of weeks, but that period of time can actually impact your dog's behavior quite a bit. So I really wanted them to be comfortable with all of the boxes before I started moving on. So once they were comfortable with the boxes, then I started noises, right? So the next thing is noises, like shifting the boxes around, dragging it around, and I just tossed them treats every time it was dragged around, just for the movement and the noises of the sound. Next thing was, I didn't expect Blue to be reactive to this, but then she was, and Ori wasn't, surprisingly. The sound of the packing tape. So if I stretched it open before I wanted to close up a box, she would actually get spooked, and then she would like stare and then look around, things like that. So that's what I did. So I just had packing tape every time I stretched it open and makes that sound. I just gave her a treat for that. So I did that, and that didn't take too long, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then she was fine already. So then I just continued packing, and I didn't pack everything. I didn't rush my packing, right? I gave myself enough time. Maybe every day I'll pack like 1 or 2 boxes, 3 or 4 boxes, depending on how much time I had over the past few weeks. And I would strongly advise that instead of rushing everything, because if you're rushing everything to a deadline, you feel stressed, your dogs feel stressed, right? We've established this many times before. So we don't want that amount of stress to be passed on to our dogs, because we can what's the term I'm looking for? It makes sense to us. It's logical for us, but our dogs don't have that mental capability to know that, oh, I'm stressed because of this, I'm stressed because of that. Dogs are very straightforward. They are stressed because of A, or they're stressed because of B. For us, our mind can go many places. All right, so anything else that you might be using, trolleys, crates, whatever, you have to get your dog used to the object or the tool being around in general. So with that done, I did my best to maintain their routines. Feeding, walking, playtime, everything was still consistent. I just added in like an hour at night or 2 hours at night to pack my stuff. But everything else was pretty much the same. They still get fed at the same time. They still get walked at the same time. And I still played with them and did training roughly the same time every day. So that consistency in your schedule, in your daily routine, matters a lot to a dog. Because if they see everything being a huge bunch of boxes coming in, everything being put into boxes, they don't know that you're moving, right? They don't understand that. So this sense of stability builds a lot of this consistency builds a lot of stability for your dog, and in turn helps them ease in throughout the whole move a lot better than if you just rushed everything, right? So with that, the routine was still settled as best as I could, gradually packing. Very importantly, when I was already looking at my new place, I was already deciding, this was the first thing I did when I was looking at my new place, designating their safe spaces. We've talked about this a lot in past few episodes. Their safe spaces matter the most. So things like this bed, it's the Brooklyn bed. I have 2 of these. They will be set up before my girls get there. So I will actually be bringing them down like tomorrow night or something. I'm moving on Friday, and tomorrow's Thursday. So I'll probably bring down some of their stuff to set it up over there, so that when they come into the house and they can explore all they want, and they see like, oh, that's my bed. And then I'll put out like their blankets, their toys, whatever it is that your dogs find comfort in. And then I'll designate them and put them in spaces where I want them to feel is their safe space. Once again, a dog safe space is for them. No one disturbs them from their safe space. If Blue or Ori were to be lying down on the bed that I just showed you guys, I would never recall them off the bed. They would, but I want them to know 100% of it is you and your safe space. If Blue is lying down on it, Ori cannot come and disturb her on it, and vice versa. So the other bed is in the bedroom, so they kind of like choose where they want to rest throughout the day. At night, they also take turns. Sometimes they sleep on the bed with me. Sometimes they go off and sleep on the bed themselves. It's completely up to them. So safe space, it's very important because the whole move, the whole stress of your move is gonna impact them quite a bit. So be prepared for this as best as you can. Of course, their collars have their identifications. Like it has my name and my number. You can update it with your new address as well. Yeah, that's one thing that the vet told me to do. Yeah, if not, I wouldn't have done it either. Okay, so during the move, you have to ensure that your dog is, if possible, not be around all of the things that's happening when the movers come in, grab everything and going, come in, grab everything and going. Because from a dog's point of view, that person is stealing everything, right? Because they don't know that you're moving, that your dog's the person is just coming in and taking things away. So you want your dog to be in a very quiet place, in a room or anywhere else that you can manage to get, with somebody that they trust a lot, whether it's a close friend, family member, or anything like that. You want them to be, you don't want them to get too anxious, and then all of this stress builds up, and then you don't know how it will manifest in, right? They could develop even stronger separation anxiety. They could develop some reactivity to guests because they've seen a couple of guys come in and just take everything away. So don't take the chances on this. Secure your dog with somebody. Could be you, but if you have to oversee all the moving things, get someone else. That's why I got Fraser to help me on Friday as well. I'm asking him to look after Blue and Ori while I arrange and make sure everything is settled. So the next is, of course, the move itself. Travel comfortably, right? You don't want to, if your dog's not ready for car rides, you want to get them ready for car rides. This applies to if you're flying as well, and then you're bringing your dog over. You need to be able to crate train them, and if you don't know now, you should know. If you don't know, crate training for your average dog takes about 3 months, plus minus 3 months. It takes longer if your dog has behavioral issues, some anxiety, some stress, some reactivity. Separation anxiety is a big one. Takes less if your dog is pretty chill about most things, right? So if you're flying, check all of the airline policies. You need to know what the most recent airline policies are, because they do change quite often. Find a good pet carrier. I think one of our partners is Flying Fido, yeah. They're really good. And then you can ensure that your dog is comfortable and safe. So here comes the part where not everyone will be able to do it if you're moving. Can you bring your dog to your new home before you settle in? If you have the keys and it's already ready, good. Try to arrange once a week, once every 2 weeks, just to go down, have a really chill time, and then go home. You don't need to stay there. You don't need to spend hours on it. No, you just need to have a very neutral to positive experience for your dog in that area. So I've scouted out the entire area, so I know where I can bring them for their walks, where they would really enjoy to sniff around and things like that. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring them into the house beforehand because there's a lot of cleaning being done, and I need to set the move date because I need to leave this place on the same day that I'm moving over there. So everything's a bit rushed. I could have been better management, better arrangements on my part. I know, but yeah, if you can introduce your dog gradually into your new home, one room at a time, to avoid overwhelming them, because everything's new, right? Which also means that you have to set new boundaries for your dogs. Like if you already choose, like, okay, in your current place, my current place has an open kitchen, right? So my dogs can literally go anywhere. In a new place, I'm still kind of considering whether I want them to be allowed into the kitchen, because the kitchen leads into the yard, the service yard, and then there's no how do I explain it? It's just half a wall. They could literally jump over, Not that I think that they're going to, but then they could jump over, and then it's the basement of the car park because I'm on the ground floor, and then it's the basement already. So I might restrict them from going there. If you do have plans to restrict your dogs in particular rooms and stuff like that, this is a good time for you to do your boundary training. Teach them, okay, this is my boundary. This is something that I don't want my dogs to go into for whatever reason. Safety. Most of the time, it's safety, right? Like you don't want your dogs going into the kitchen because they might grab something that they're not supposed to eat and stuff like that. Completely up to you. And then one room at a time. Okay, wait. So previously you set up everything in for your dogs, their beds, their toys, um, whatever they find comfort in, and then you introduce them into the rooms one by one. And then every room that they step into, let them sniff around. Once they've had a good sniff, give them a treat. That's it. That's all you need to do. So they have this very good idea of this new place already, where they to them it's not their home yet. They do take some time to consider it their home. So take it slow at your own dog's pace, and don't rush anything. Next most important thing is your routine for your walks, your feeding, your play, your training should still be the same to as best as you can. Of course, I'm not saying like if you don't do it, your dog's gonna be messed up. No, it helps them a lot if you can maintain that same schedule, but you might tweak it a little bit. Some people move, and then they realize that, oh, this new place it gets very busy at this the time that I normally walk my dog, so I want to adjust it a bit, which is fine, which is fine. But try to have a good schedule so that you can provide your dog not just the security, it's just a sense of normalcy. Like it's a new place, but everything is still the same, so your dog doesn't feel too worked up. Okay, comfort, of course. Um, Stay close with your dog. Spend extra time with them if you can. So, like for me, I kind of blocked out the next few days after the move so that I could still stay home with them, and then I could help them. I could monitor them basically. I just want them to feel safe and secure. I don't want them to freak out or anything like that when I leave the house. And even when I do, the next few days after the move, I am just gradually gonna do some training exercises to leave the house so that they still feel comfortable. Like I'll just step outside for like 5 minutes, come back in, give them a treat, and then step outside for 15 minutes, come back in, give them a treat again, and then just slowly build it up. It's very similar to how you would help dogs with separation anxiety, but it's just that because this is something that they've done before, I'm going to redo it, but at a faster pace, which I think that they can manage. If they can't manage, I'll slow down my pace, of course. So either or. Then the whole your entire environment, it's new. You want to explore it, right? Because it's a new place for you. Bring your dog as well to wherever that is. They allow dogs. You are exploring the new neighborhood, so you need them to explore the new neighborhood as well. They need to familiarize themselves with all of these sights, the sounds, the smells, everything that you can think of. So for us, we might just look at, oh, that's a nice park. But for your dog, they could go and sniff something and they say, oh, there's another dog here. There's another dog there. There's because another dog has peed there or walked there and stuff like that. They can figure things out like that. So make sure to bring them around the new neighborhood. Avoid places that are too crowded for a start. Usually that's like your morning walks and your evening walks or after dinner time, right? So try to avoid those, and then slowly integrate them into your new neighborhood. And of course, be very patient, right? Be very, very patient with your dog. I don't want people to be rushing, and then the stress of a move is something that's very real. I always thought that no, it's nothing much, but then now that I'm moving, I know the stress of a move, and I'm trying my best to kind of be like relaxed and chill throughout the whole process so that my girls don't get too affected. But it is affecting me for sure, and I feel like they are affected slightly, somewhat, maybe yes, no, I'm not sure, but they seem to be doing quite well. It's just that I noticed Ori whining a little bit more in the recent few days, in the past 2 weeks at least, and I'm trying my best to just let them relax. And every time Ori's whining, I have to go check on her, what's up, and stuff like that. Uh, you can also use like products or treats designed to help your dog be less anxious. There's like calming treats. I don't think you need to medicate your dog unless your dog has really bad anxiety issues and your move is too sudden. Yeah, so sometimes it's unavoidable, right? I've had clients recently as well who said that, oh, I lost my job, I need to go back to wherever, and then I only have a month. I'm like, oh shit, this dog was making so much progress previously, and then now that we suddenly have to convert everything to crate training in the short span of a month. I did advise them to ask their vet about what kind of medication that they can use for the flight, because that the dog will be super stressed out. And most flights don't allow certain, actually all flights don't allow certain forms of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's drugs that help them calm down. There's an actual term for it, but I can't remember what it is. But most airlines won't allow that. All airlines won't allow that because they don't sedations. Sedation, yeah, sedatives. So airlines won't allow your dogs to be sedated before a flight because it's risky. They don't want anything to happen to your dog. But there are some more milder anti-anxiety medications that your dogs can take. I do know quite some of my clients who have moved overseas or moved to Singapore that have taken those. So yeah, so I hope that's good for you guys to see about what I've been doing. So to dive a little bit more into the actual exercises I've been doing, a lot of the routine training that I do with them, especially throughout this move, is that all along before I figured out, I found out that I was going to be moving and got the new place. Excuse me. I always look forward to like teaching my dogs something new, right? Like so recently, what Blue was learning before I started doing training for this move is that I was teaching Blue to jump from spot to spot. Like I was literally teaching her how to play the floor is lava. So I would set some things like on the sofa and then around the sofa, and then I get her to jump from one to the other. It's just a little bit of fun for her, right? So, and I was teaching Ori, I was doing counter conditioning exercises because for some reason, whenever I have right above my dining table, I have a like those bar racks that you put bottles on and stuff like that. Every time I reached up to grab something, or if I reach to a top shelf or something, if I reach high to grab something, Ori starts whining at me. She might bark once or twice and then she starts whining. It's like she's afraid of the things up there and all that. So I did a lot of counter conditioning for that. And also I had to do counter conditioning for the sounds of popcorn. Don't ask me why. I don't know. If Ori hears popcorn in the microwave going off, she starts reacting to it as well. And also, so those were the kind of things that I was doing, and I realized that because of this move, I actually went to revisit a lot of the basics that I've done with Blue and Ori, a lot of the foundation exercises that we started on to begin with, and it's great because they haven't forgotten it. They might have needed a small refresher for some of the things, but they did very well for all of this. And I realized the importance of revisiting your basics. So everyone that's watching or listening on, think about like the first two or three things that you taught your dog, that you did with your dog, whether it's an actual cue or like you just did simple exercises to make your dog follow you around the house. Whatever it is, I want you to revisit that for about a week and then note the difference. It's a huge difference that they suddenly became so much more less reactive in general. Like they became so much more chilled out because they're doing things that they already know how to do. They love to do it, and that gives them a good form of de-stressing. It's for their mental enrichment. They need it every day, and as much as I would love to always teach them new things, it was a reminder to myself to always go back and revisit things that I've already taught them in the past. It's actually very important. So that, and then okay, so that was all I revisited. Another thing that I had to start doing as well, because so right now my apartment is on the third floor. We are the last unit of the entire floor. So I don't get much foot traffic, right? The most I get is just either delivery people or my neighbor. And my dogs are okay with my neighbor already. Uh, One thing that I had to start doing is desensitizing both Blue and Ori to more sounds outdoors. So sounds like cars, more people walking around, or kids running about. Because I'm on the ground floor. My new apartment is on the ground floor, and then so people can just there'll be foot traffic no matter what I do. There's no main traffic. There's no main road right next to where I'm staying, but then it's still a couple roads down. There is one. So I started playing. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Uh, 1 second. Dog desensitization sounds. Apartment. Yep, there we go. So I searched for, just use YouTube, right? They're great. They have a lot of good things for you. Canine desensitization to sounds outside the apartment. Not sure if you guys can see it. Okay, well, it's too bright. Oh wait, maybe I can lower the lighting and then you can see it. There you go. Canine desensitization to sounds outside the apartment. It's only 10 minutes long, and that's all you need to start off with. Amazon. Of course I have ads because I don't have YouTube Plus, YouTube Premium, YouTube whatever. So, and then these are the sounds. So, yeah. Hi Carrie. Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat. So, I just played this. It's only 10 minutes long, right? And then it helps a lot if you have YouTube Premium, I guess, because I know that I get shocked by it while it's playing halfway and then suddenly an ad suddenly plays and it gets really loud. So I've been playing this and I try to time it roughly the same time when I know that it will be the busiest in my new place as well. So that's usually like 7 p.m. as well as like 8 or 9 a.m. 8 or 9 a.m. Yeah, give or take. Here you go, Carrie. This is the one. If anyone else wants to take a look at it, you can as well. This is just for outside the apartment though. So you hear sounds of like footsteps, doors opening, closing, shuffling of feet. That's footsteps as well. Okay, so there's quite a few of these. And then I did this for about a week at the right timings, and then I started to look into other noises to desensitize them too, which was another one was desensitized to city sounds. So this one that I'm going to post right now is a little bit more annoying because there's a sound of like sirens, cars, and things like that. You guys are more than welcome to do it with your dog as well if you're going to a place like that, or if your dog currently has issues with that. If your dog is currently reactive, likes to bark out the window to certain sounds outside, always just look up YouTube for it. Find something that you can use to desensitize your dog to. There's two different ways of doing this, right? So one is desensitization, whereby your dog is not reactive to this already. So if your dog is not reactive to the sounds of cars, for example, you can use this to desensitize them to different types of cars. But if your dog is already reactive to the sounds of cars, you have to counter condition it. You can't desensitize your dog to it. I mean, you can, but then it's just going to cause stress, unnecessary stress. So you have the sound playing, you have food ready, you have treats ready. Where's my browser? Okay, there it is. So you have food ready, and then you have food ready, and then you have the sound ready to play. You hold the food in front of your dog. Don't give it to them yet. Press play. You'll see their ears perk up, or they start looking around for where the source of the sound is. Offer them a treat for it. If they take the treat, good. If they don't take the treat and they continue barking, that means your volume is too loud. So lower it down and then try again. You have to be able to understand how stressed out your dog is as well. If your dog keeps reacting to noises, you have to take a break. That means they've crossed the threshold for stress, and they should just take a break, and then you try it later on in the day or another day. Don't keep going at it like you're running into a brick wall. Because if your dog crosses that threshold, it's very hard for them to learn anything. Very similar to us. If you're too stressed, you can't absorb anything anymore. If you catch my drift. But yeah, so I did that with Blue and Ori, usually around the morning and the night times, and then now I'm starting to do it just throughout the day. So like I leave the house and then I play like they have this videos like 3 hours of a busy city, sounds like that, and I just leave it on. And then of course I have the camera, my CCTV that I can take a look at. So I would just periodically check into the camera if I see like any of them like suddenly perk up or try to like run to the door or bark or anything like that. Then I know that the volume's too loud. I can just shut it off, and then I try again the next day. If it's okay, I'll just increase the volume day by day, and then now it's at you don't have to go full volume. Like just get to a realistic volume whereby you feel like it's good enough. Because the sound, if your dog gets desensitized to it, you will never be desensitized to it because it kills me. It's so annoying. I hate the sounds of the city. It's just constantly just blaring in my head and things like that when I'm doing the desensitization. But yeah, so that's a very good way for everyone to start with that. Um, One of the things I didn't manage to do for my move as well is to meet my neighbors. So it's very important to know who your new neighbors are. I mean, like your whole house, you're going to spend years there, right? I mean, unless it's just a couple of months that you don't really need to care. But didn't get a chance to meet my neighbors. I only asked the real estate agent whether there was any Muslims around, just so that I know to avoid. And then because their religion with dogs, yada yada yada. So the guy said that there wasn't any, so I guess that's okay. But I still need to know whether they're afraid of dogs or not, because I have two. They're medium sized to me, but people say they're large. I have two of them, and then they can look scary. Open air quotes. They can look scary, and I understand why, but they're not. They're harmless. They're really harmless. So if you have the chance, so introduce your dog to your new neighbors. And when I say introduce your dog to your new neighbors, you're not introducing your neighbors to your dog. You're introducing your dog to your neighbors, because you can just tell your neighbor off. Don't tell your neighbor off. I mean, you can just tell your neighbors like, oh, my dog's going to training, blah blah. They have these issues, but you can't tell your dogs the same thing about your neighbors. They won't understand it. So I do plan to, do the standard good neighbor bullshit, whatever. Like give them gifts, give them some food or whatever. You're essentially offering your neighbors treats to not be a dick or to show that you're not a dick, whichever way you want to look at it. But after I do that, then I want to ask them if they're comfortable with dogs, and if they are, I would like them to, start interacting with Blue and Ori slowly, and then just offering them treats or things like that. I've even bought like a whole set of new toys that I was gonna give out to people to give to Blue and Ori, or if no one's gonna do that, then I'll just do it as counter conditioning exercises. If they look at my new neighbors without reacting, and then I'll just give them a toy for that, because that's the highest form of reward for Blue. And then for Ori, of course, I bought like a kilo of frozen bacon. She loves it. So those are their two highest form of rewards. So make sure you know what your dog's rewards are, and then you continue working at it then. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing for the past few weeks. I hope you guys like this episode talk about all of these things. The following the next time we're going to do something like this is we're going to be talking about more socialization, about how Fraser and we've been working together for so long, right? But we've never properly introduced our dogs to each other because we never felt the need to. Only Ori has stayed with Fraser and his boys for almost a month while I was overseas, and then because my mom took care of Blue, I split them up just because my mom can't take care of both of them, because I feel like it's a bit too much to ask for her. When Blue gets very excited and when Ori gets very excited, my mom doesn't know how to do things. She gets very worried, and of course I don't want to send both Blue and Ori to to Fraser's house, and then he'll have 5 dogs. So I think 4 is pushing it already. I didn't want him to have to handle all 5. But yeah, so that's the next thing that Fraser and I are looking forward to. We're gonna set up. Hopefully, we can get a camera person to help us do everything as well. So we can set up how we're going to introduce our dogs to each other, so that you guys can see it as well. And then we'll tell you about why we're doing the things we're doing and what's the best way to introduce dogs to each other. Whether it's you're adding a new dog to your family, or you're just out on a walk and you're meeting, or you're going to a social event, or you're meeting dogs in general. So yeah, that does it for our episode 35 of the Wagging Tails podcast. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. This was Under the Harness, and me, your host, Jay. Take care, guys.